Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from Spit Studios, Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. This is the Spit Sports Show. How's everybody doing out there? Now, I have been watching, listening to, reading different depictions and perspectives of what's going to happen in the Super Bowl between the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers. And the reason I've been doing that is because I wanted to get the public perception of what people think are going to happen before I went in and dove into the research myself of what I think is going to happen in the game. Because this is really a Super Bowl where it's David versus Goliath in a lot of different ways. Obviously, in the quarterback position, you kind of have David, Mr. Irrelevant, and Brock Purdy going up against the potential GOAT in Patrick Mahomes. But when it comes to rosters, you have the San Francisco 49ers, who have been this beast of a roster all year, like probably the most dominant team in the NFL, especially when Debo and Trent Williams were playing, versus the Chiefs, who everyone's kind of doubted all year, said their receiving core wasn't good enough, they don't have enough weapons, all of that stuff. But one thing that I've heard people say is that the Chiefs defense is going to expose Brock Purdy in this game. The Chiefs defense has been fantastic lately. They just held the Ravens to 10 points, and I totally understand where that would come from, but I completely disagree with that. And I want to dive in to some of the analysis that I've made for this Super Bowl, which is that notion that the Chiefs defense is going to expose Brock Purdy, I think completely ignores the idiocy that some teams have done when going up against the Chiefs, and that it most especially is the Ravens. So the Ravens had the single most stupid game plan I have ever seen when playing the Chiefs. They went 69% on passes in early downs. They threw the ball 69% of the time in the first half on early downs. And in that half, it was a one-score game the whole way through. They went 69% against a KC defense that ranks by Pro Football Focus number 4 against the pass and number 28 against the run. So basically what it's saying is when you throw the ball, it's a top 5 unit. When they run the ball, they're bottom 3. Which one do you think is going to be more effective when you're the number 1 rushing team in the NFL? You should probably run the ball on early downs and have a success rate. The entire game, entire 4 quarters, the Ravens had 3 early down running back runs. So that doesn't include Lamar scrambles. This is just handoffs to the running back. 3 of them for the entire game. Like, I still can't put my brain around what Todd Monken was thinking in that game. It is just baffling to me that a team that has been built around the run for pretty much its entire existence, their quarterback is the best running quarterback. They had the best rushing offense all year. 3 early down running back runs, and they gained 17 yards off of those 3 runs against, the number 28 ranked run defense. Like, what are you thinking in that game? And I think what that did was make the Chiefs defense look a lot more formidable than it actually is when you're able to run the ball. Because Kyle Shanahan, if there's one thing he won't do, it's make that same mistake. They are so committed to that running game, not just because they have the best running back in the world in Christian McCaffrey, and not just because their blocking schemes are some of the best in the world, and not just because of their left tackle, not just because of their tight end, who's an unbelievable blocker, but it's because their run game is so explosive. It's just as explosive as their pass game is. They are just as prone to get a 15-yard plus play off their runs as they are off their throws. And that is so rare for a running game like that. Like I said, obviously a lot of that has to do with the personnel, but the scheme of the running game makes it just a different kind of unit than most running games in the NFL are. So they are going to stay committed to that running game against this Chiefs defense, which has been lackluster against the run all year, especially with Willie Gay probably being out again for this game. I don't know what's going to happen with his neck, but anytime it's a neck injury, that's a scary thing for a linebacker. Leighton Vander Esch on the Cowboys, he has his career pretty much ended because of those neck injuries. And because the 49ers are so committed to the run game and so good at it, I think they're going to be able to move the ball on Kansas City unless the Chiefs are somehow able to force them into passing situations on 2nd and 3rd down, where it's a 2nd and 10 situation, a 2nd and 9, maybe even a 2nd and 13 off of a sack. Because their secondary, I think, matches up really well against the 49ers receiving talent. Unfortunately for them, the 49ers' best receiver is also an unbelievable running back, so they're able to switch that out, and the running back's a great wide receiver. But in terms of conventionally, Chiefs secondary, 49ers wide receivers. The Chiefs match up pretty well. But the 49ers are going to be able to run the ball, work off play action, which is Brock Purdy's bread and butter. So I definitely see the 49ers being able to move the ball on the Chiefs. But on the other side of the ball, I also think the Chiefs are going to be able to move the ball really effectively against the Niners. Listen, the 49ers this year were ranked 25th in early down success rate, which basically means on first down, how effective is this play? Not necessarily how many yards did it gain, because a run up the middle for 3 yards in this metric is just as effective as a 3-yard pass or a 10-yard pass for another first down. Like efficiency, like how are you doing when compared to the sticks on early downs? Their defense was 25th this year in early down success rate, which is a huge deal in Super Bowls. I think I read a stat where the last 15 Super Bowl winners all led in early down efficiency rate. So 25th this year, which seems weird for a team that has such a highly touted defense, but they live off sacks and big plays, because their secondary isn't quite as good as it used to be. So the most important thing to do against the Chiefs is to get them off schedule in early downs, because their receiving core is nowhere near as explosive as it was in recent years. Although Rashee Rice is definitely coming to his own. Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Christian Watson, these are all kind of just guys. And their passing game isn't quite explosive enough to consistently convert on 3rd and 10, 3rd and 9. Unless Travis Kelce just goes nuts, which I can assume the 49ers' entire game plan is going to be, how do we stop that guy? And fortunately for the 49ers, every day in practice, that defense is going against the guy who probably does what Travis Kelce does, as well as Travis Kelce does it, if that makes any sense, in George Kittle. So they're probably going to have a decent game plan against Kelce. And the last Super Bowl against the 49ers, Kelce had a pretty quiet game. So the most important thing to do is get the Chiefs off schedule, which is hard to do against the Chiefs because they ranked 7th in early down success rate. Now, for a team that has Patrick Mahomes, they run a lot of wide receiver screens and get the ball out quickly to stay efficient on those early downs so they can keep on track with their game plan. If they can stay on the Andy Reid script of Super Bowls, I think they're going to have immense success on offense. And add to that the fact that, like I said, Rashee Rice is playing well, and Pacheco runs as hard as any running back I've probably ever seen. The Chiefs are probably going to be able to move the ball on this team. The only thing that can stop them, in my opinion, is the edge pressure of the 49ers. Now, is this going to be the 1-4 game that Chase Young brings his full effort? It better be, because it's the freaking Super Bowl. So I'm going to assume he has a really good game. And Nick Bosa on the other side, going up against Donovan Smith and Jawan Taylor, the Chiefs' 2 tackles, who, just to put it quite simply, aren't great football players. They're good enough, but both of them hold a lot. Both of them are really prone to get beat to the edge. But like, if you're able to bend the edge on these two guys, they don't have really the footwork to get back in position for it. They're susceptible. So if the 49ers can get a pass rush with 4 with that edge pressure, that's going to spell probably disaster for the Chiefs. But on the same branch of that tree, the 49ers offense, they might get exposed by the Chiefs' interior pressure, because Chris Jones, he turns it on another level in the playoffs. And I know for somehow he's never in that Defensive Player of the Year conversation that seems TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, even Micah Parsons are always in. But when it comes to big playoff games, that 6'5", 260-pound dominant piece of man, I think he's going to have a heck of a game. And if there's one place that the 49ers are weak at the offensive line spot, it's inside. Like, they've got obviously the best left tackle in the world, and their right tackle's decent, but their guards are weak. Now, he's probably going to face a lot of double teams, but obviously that frees up another one-on-one matchup inside, and that could spell doom, because Brock Purdy's pretty good at scrambling out, but if he gets interior pressure and his pocket isn't good, he's not going to be able to step up and make those over-the-middle throws that he's been so great at all year. And so what I'm saying is, basically, to put that all in a nutshell, is both sides of the ball are pretty even. I think the Chiefs are going to be able to move the ball, and I think the Niners are going to be able to move the ball. However, there are 2 elements to this game that I haven't mentioned, and that is coaching and that is quarterback, which I think everyone can agree are probably the 2 most important spots on the football field. and both have a decided advantage to the Kansas City Chiefs. And I want to start with coaching because that's the one that probably most are going to dispute. But Kyle Shanahan's aggressiveness in that Atlanta Super Bowl when he was up 28-3 changed his coaching style completely. It was an all-time collapse, the most all-time of all-time collapses. And Kyle Shanahan got shredded for continuing to throw the ball in that game and acting like he was down points instead of up points. And since then, he's been obsessed with chewing the clock. He's been obsessed with making sure that he has the last possession in halves. He has the last possession before 2-minute warnings, all of that kind of stuff. And I think it's made him a worse coach because the worst coach is the hesitant coach, especially in these kind of big games. Andy Reid, on the other hand, he's had some clock management issues in the past, but I mean, nothing in recent memory. In the last 5 years, when's the last time you saw Andy Reid coach in a big game and you're like, wow, that was a dumb decision? I don't remember one. Whereas Kyle Shanahan, in the game against the Packers before the half, I don't know what he was doing. Like when he couldn't even get a field goal out of his last possession there because he was just playing it too slow. But Andy Reid, I think, has a coaching advantage over Shanahan. And the last element of it is obviously quarterback, where you have the greatest quarterback of all time going against Brock Purdy. He's not the greatest quarterback of all time yet. Let me stop there. But in terms of talent, in terms of projection, in terms of what he should do, in terms of what he's doing for God, like there's nothing like him. And in big games like this, it's hard for me not to take the best player at the most important position. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. In this Super Bowl, I think it's pretty easy to predict what's going to happen, to be honest with you, because both of these teams are really good, but one of them has the most all-time of all-time players on their team, and the other team is Mr. Irrelevant. And this is I'm not trying to bash Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy has earned my respect. I've said he's better than Jimmy Garoppolo. He's a really, really good player. He's a little bit worse version of Matt Ryan with some legs. That's what he is. But at the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes. And I hate to, it seems like such a cliche ending to this analysis of the Super Bowl. But sometimes the best answers are the most simple ones. Sometimes the best takes are the most simple takes in life. Like, I like my coffee maker. I like water. I like pizza. I like simple things sometimes. And the most simple thing is the Chiefs have the best in the world and the Niners don't. Now, what will happen in the Super Bowl? I think the Chiefs win by 4 to 7 points. I don't know how they're underdogs in this game. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a really, really close matchup. But if I were to pick one guy to make plays, it's going to be that guy. And again, no disrespect to Brock Purdy. He's probably the 14th, 15th best quarterback in the world. But he's going up against the undisputed number one, who happens to have the best offensive coach of his generation, who happens to have the greatest pass-catching tight end of all time, who happens to have the best defense he's ever had. Can't bet against him. So that's my Super Bowl analysis. Thank you all so much for watching, as always. Like I've been saying this last few videos, but like it keeps happening. The support on these videos has been unbelievable. We just hit 140 subscribers, biggest video ever. It's probably going to hit 3,000 views in the next couple days here. Like things are happening. Things are happening on this channel. So if you want to be a part of it, please hit the subscribe button down below. Please like the video because that does help a lot with YouTube seeing the content that I'm putting out. Leave a comment. I am able to respond to comments. I love reading what you guys have to say about these games, about these sports, because obviously I love talking about them. Talking about them with you guys. It's a highlight of my day, so please leave a comment down below. And until then, I will see you in the next one. Peace out.